From the News Channel 5 Network, this is Sportsline.
Hey there, Titans Talk on your television. I'm Steve Layman. Glad to have you with us here tonight on News Channel 5. Plus, a third straight victory Monday for the Titans, who have bounced back from that 0-2 start to the season and now sit all alone atop the AFC South at 3-2 through 5 weeks as they head into the bye this week. And then an opportunity to really grab control of this division with back-to-back games against AFC South rivals, with the Colts coming to town a week from Sunday, and then the Texans a trip to Houston on October 30th. A chance to potentially get to 5-2 with a multiple game lead in the division by the end of October. That is certainly what the doctor ordered after the way the season started for the Titans. But tonight we talk about that win yesterday in Washington. It was a challenge. Once again, it went right down to the bitter end. But David Long comes up with the play of the season so far, a diving interception of Carson Wentz. And the Titans escape with a 21-17 victory over the now 1-4 Washington Commanders. Offense struggled, but did enough throughout the course of the game to help this team win again. First half, some success despite not scoring a touchdown on the opening drive for the first time this season. They were able to rally, get 2 scores before halftime. And then the first second half points for this team since week 1, believe it or not. Derrick Henry goes over the top. The play of that drive was Ryan Tannehill stepping up to avoid the rush and hitting Nick Westbrook-Ikhine for a 62-yard bomb down to the Washington 12. Then, of course, the Henry touchdown. First point since week 1. It proved to be the game winner as the Titans finished with 21 for the day. And the other big thing you have to praise this offense for at the moment is they haven't had a ton of drives down into scoring position, especially in the second half of games. But when the Titans have got into position to score this year, they have scored. They have gotten into a rhythm, and they have finished drives. And that's something they talk about all the time. They're now 12 of 13 in the red zone this year, scoring touchdowns, including touchdowns on all 3 red zone trips yesterday. That was clearly the difference in the game. And frankly, it's the difference in this season right now, where the Titans are a first-place team that look like a team that can head back to the playoffs once again, versus a team that would be very much staring up at the standings with a worse record than this if they were not that efficient. As Ryan Tannehill said yesterday, we have this belief that every game in the NFL is going to be tight. So many games come down to the fourth quarter. That is certainly the case with this team. And they understand the value of every possession. And when you get down there, you want to score touchdowns. You don't want to settle for field goals. And you want to have as many drives get down there as you possibly can. And even then, this team understands that it's oftentimes going to come down to the fourth quarter, maybe the very final drive of the game, offense or defense on the field, what have you, where somebody's got to make a play. And yesterday, the Titans made just enough plays, ending with that David Long interception, to come up with the goods for a win. And here they are with 3 consecutive wins now by a total of just 13 points. And that is impressive, because in this league, so many of those games do come down to the wire. You've got to have the confidence and the belief that when you're in that situation, you're going to come up with the goods and you're going to win the football game. And this Titans team clearly believes that. Ever since Mike Vrabel has been the head coach, they have been terrific in these situations. And just to illustrate that, here are some numbers for you. This is all under Mike Vrabel. So he took over in 2018. Since the start of the 2018 season, the Titans are 23-11 in games decided by 1 score or less. So 8 points or less. Titans are 23-11. Only 3 teams in the NFL have won more 1-score games over the last 5 years than the Titans' 23 wins. Only 1 team, the Miami Dolphins, who are 21-10, is a fraction of a percentage point better than the Titans in terms of their performance in those one-score games. Titans winning percentage 676, Dolphins at 677. So right there at the top of the league, both in overall numbers of wins in those games, but also when you get into a game like that, how often they're coming out on top as opposed to the other way around. Since 2019, the Titans are 19-8. Only 3 teams in the league, the Packers, the Steelers, and the Seahawks, have won more one-possession games. Only the Packers have a better winning percentage in those one-score games. Since 2020, the start of the COVID year, it even gets better. The Titans are 16-5 in the last 3 seasons in one-possession games. That is a .762 winning percentage. Only one team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, have as many wins at 16, and no one has as good of a winning percentage in that time. Titans 9-3 the last 2 years in that category. 3-1 so far this season. No one in the NFL has more one-score wins in the last 2 years or the last 3 years than the Titans do. So Mike Vrabel's teams have this belief, and he talks about it all the time, about how it is a 4-quarter game in this league, and that so many games come down to just that. And he preaches that you've got to be good in those games, and you've got to be ready to finish, and you've got to be prepared to win those games, and his Titans teams have. And frankly, that's one thing you could say about Mike Vrabel, is his messaging gets through. You may not always agree with it as a fan or somebody watching closely in the media, but what he preaches to his team, they take to heart and they run with it. He preaches finish. He preaches winning at the line of scrimmage. He preaches efficiency in the red zone. He preaches running the football and a commitment to it. He preaches defensively defending every blade of grass on the field. We certainly saw that yesterday. Getting turnovers, discipline, those types of things are the mantra of this football team, and they repeat it ad nauseum back at you. But a lot of times you see it stand up. How many times have we seen this team have a goal line stand like we saw yesterday to win a big game over the last few years? How many times has a turnover made the difference? How many times has the offense scoring in the red zone been the difference between a win and a loss? And how many times have we seen this team pull out games at the end by finishing, by winning in the fourth quarter over the last handful of years, winning those close games where it really matters? And it's not about the style points. Nobody thinks that this Titans team, especially this year, is a work of art. They are not winning Picassos or Van Goghs out there. This is not beauty. This is about going and finding a way to win. And Mike Vrabel's teams continue to do that. Our phone lines are open tonight, 737-7767. Call us up. Your thoughts on yesterday's win over the Commanders and where the Titans stand now at 3-2 atop of the AFC South as they get set for their bye. And we begin tonight on the phones with Eric. Eric, good evening. Thanks for the call and welcome to Titans Talk.
Good evening, Steve. As always, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Just several observations about the game yesterday. Certainly a fantastic play by David Long Jr. on that interception that pretty much ended the game. And I think there's one thing about that drive a lot of people forget. If you remember, Ron Rivera, of course, took that timeout for that challenge. If he hadn't done that, they would have had one more timeout, which could have made a huge difference on that last drive. Who knows? Maybe they have a shot at a touchdown or whatever, because if David Long also, of course, doesn't read that play, it looked like that certainly was a touchdown in the end zone, but great play by David Long Jr. Also, no matter what you think of Ryan Tannehill, he was a warrior yesterday. Maybe his numbers weren't spectacular, but the fact is he got sacked 5 times. I think they said he took 13 hits. You got to admire his toughness and his grit, especially throwing that long pass to Nick Westbrook-Akina. That was a huge play in the game. Also, Derrick Henry running hard despite the issues with the offensive line and stuff. And it also gives credit to Mike Vrabel. No matter what you think of him as a coach, I think the guy's a great coach. With all the injuries, everything he dealt with last year and again this year, how you could piece together, line and put it together. You know, a win is a win is a win, and you'll definitely take it. Also, just defense stepped up and made some key plays, huge plays at times. But also, too, I thought the officiating yesterday's game was terrible. That roughing the passer call that I thought was just ridiculous, even though they said technically it was the letter of the law, but still, it was a horrible call.
Agreed.
And also, I'm sorry.
No, I just said agreed.
Yeah. But also, I was going to say, too, and this was talked about, too, earlier in the game. If you remember, Ryan Tannehill, when he was sacked for the second time, the Washington defender ripped off his helmet and was run on the field. The announcer was saying, the referee saying that should have been a 15-yard unsportsmanlike penalty called. They missed that, and that would have kept that drive alive. Who knows what would have happened? But all in all, grit, determination by the Titans. Also, the fact that they finally got a touchdown in the second half, which they had not done in the last several games. So they were able to do that, and hopefully the offense can get it rolled, especially after the first two drives were 3 and out. But hopefully with the bye week, we can get some players back, get healthy, and get ready for the stretch run. We've got a lot of tough games coming up against a lot of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. So we're going to see just how this team fares down the stretch. And, with Jacksonville losing, Titans now lead the division. And if they can get guys healthy and stuff, this team should be favored to win this division. I know a lot of people are picking the Colts. And even some people, Jacksonville players, started to pick the Jaguars. But it seems like Titans, no matter what you think of them, there they are again. You can never count this team out. And just that's all I wanted to say. Take care, Steve, and go Titans. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. That's the thing about this Titans team is they don't do the things that are sexy. They don't have a quarterback throwing for 450 yards. They don't have a 1,000-yard receiver on this team anymore. They don't even have the pass rush they thought they were going to have at the beginning of the year. And so it's easy for the outsiders and the casual viewers around the NFL to look at them and say, how is this team any good? And want to gravitate towards the Colts or want to gravitate towards a Jaguars team that got hot and won a couple of games early in the year. But here's the bottom line, is over the last several years, the Titans are the cream of the crop in this division. And it takes something to overthrow them in that because they're not going to go quietly. I don't think this is the best roster the Titans have had in the last few years. But Mike Vrabel is the reigning NFL Coach of the Year for a reason. And he gets them ready to play. And these guys believe that they're going to win when they step on the field on Sunday, no matter who they're playing against. And we've seen over the last 3 weeks, maybe it hasn't been their best efforts all the time, but they found ways to win. And here they are back above 500 with a chance to take control of the AFC South once again over the next few weeks. Hopefully they can get healthy in the bye before they head into those two divisional games. And this is a team that's growing in confidence. And we talked to a bunch of guys in the locker room yesterday in Washington, and they said, look, we can play and we need to play a lot better. If we continue down this path, at some point it's going to catch up to us and we are going to get beat more times than not. But here's the thing. This team does show improvement, I think, week in and week out. They're getting a little bit better. Hopefully they can get a few more guys back and get more healthy. And right now they're already finding ways to win while not playing their best football. And I think that is a positive as you look ahead to that stretch where, yes, there are some games against some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL ahead. There also are a bunch of games in the AFC South against teams that, frankly, I don't think are very good. And I think the Titans are the cream of the crop in this division, and we'll see if they can make good on that and win for a third consecutive year. A couple other points that Eric, the caller, brought up that I think are important. Ryan Tannehill specifically. Not a great game statistically yesterday, as he mentioned. But I do think he needs to be lauded for his efforts. Number one, having a quarterback that is durable, that can shake off 13 hits and 5 sacks in the game, and keep coming back throughout the course of the game, but also come back the next week, is something that has not always been the case here in Tennessee. And since Ryan Tannehill took over as the starting quarterback in 2019, in week 5, he's been out there every single week. It has been his team. That cannot be understated. And yesterday, under huge duress from a good Washington pass rush, he was able to shake that off and continue to stand in the pocket and come back and make some plays. He took care of the football, Turnovers, obviously, a huge key during this stretch. And when the Titans have won 3 straight games, Ryan Tannehill has been able to secure the ball during that time. And then he makes maybe the play of the game with that 62-yard pass to Nick Westbrook-Akina. Again, under duress, broken play, making a play. And it leads to the only touchdown of the second half for the Titans, which ultimately was the game-winning drive. I think he deserves a ton of credit, along with Mike Vrabel, along with his staff. By the way, Todd Downing deserves some credit. I know he is the favorite punching boy around here when it comes to this offense, but he's had some really good game plans this year. And he has used the talent that he does have to his advantage. They've got to get better in the second half. They've got to get more consistent. But Todd Downing deserves some credit for what we've seen the last few weeks in terms of the play calling and scheming things up and what they're doing in the red zone to make those drives count. Also give some props to some of the young offensive linemen. That has been a makeshift unit. Dylan Radin stepped in, played pretty well yesterday at right guard. Nicholas Petit-Frere maybe played his best game as a Titan. You got some concerns about Dennis Daly over there at left tackle for sure. Aaron Brewer got beat up some yesterday with some of those bull rush guys that the Commanders have. But there were some encouraging signs even up front on the offensive line, as disappointing as they played and as much pressure as they allowed. But bottom line, Titans find a way to get a win and now stand alone atop the AFC South through 5 weeks. More of your phone calls coming up. 737-7767 is the number. We'll take a break. We'll come back and have much more straight ahead here on Titans Talk on News Channel 5 Plus.